Well, we're starting with the trial that everyone is watching across the country, around the globe. We begin this morning in Minneapolis, where testimony in Derek Chauvin's trial is set to resume in just a few hours. Yesterday, the court heard emotional testimony from witnesses who were on the scene when George Floyd was arrested last May. Some of those witnesses include Donald Williams and Genevieve Hansen. They wiped tears away while recounting the moments that they watched Chauvin kneel on George Floyd's neck. 18-year-old Darnella Frazier and her 9-year-old cousin were also among the people who took the stand. Frazier's cell phone video of Floyd's arrest has now been seen around the world. Skyler Henry joins us now from Minneapolis with more on the trial. Skyler, what can you tell us?
Hey, Marie, good morning to you. Well, it was certainly an emotional day inside of the courtroom yesterday. Darnella Frazier, who you mentioned, the teen who shot that video, saying that she stays up at night and apologizes to George Floyd for not stepping in physically and doing more to try to save his life. As for the trial today, Genevieve Hansen, who you mentioned, the off-duty Minneapolis firefighter who was there at the time of the incident between Chauvin and Floyd, said that she was actually stopped by the police who were there from trying to help Floyd. An off-duty firefighter testified in the Derek Chauvin trial that she wanted to help George Floyd, but insists a police officer wouldn't let her.
He said something along the lines of, if you really are a Minneapolis firefighter, you would know better than to get involved.
Genevieve Hansen is expected to take the stand again.
Did call the police on the police.
Right. And why did you do that?
Because I believe I witnessed a murder.
During his second day on the stand, Donald Williams listened as his 911 call was played for the jury.
He had his knee on the dude's neck the whole time.
The court also heard from a teenager who recorded the widely seen video of Floyd's arrest. Darnella Frazier's testimony was given off camera because of her age.
I stayed up apologizing and apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more.
During cross-examination, defense attorney Eric Nelson portrayed the witnesses as part of an increasingly hostile crowd. That made it difficult for officers to concentrate on their job.
It's fair to say that as you were there, you grew angrier.
Correct. You can't paint me I was angry. I was in a position where I had to be controlled.
Chauvin faces up to 40 years in prison if convicted of the most serious charge against him. So again, Hansen is expected to take the stand again today. The judge in this case, Peter Cahill, admonished her a little bit yesterday for her responses to the defense attorney's line of questioning, ultimately saying that she will not argue with the court or counsel.
All right, then what can we expect to hear from her, and who else is expected to take the stand today?
Well, on that note, I think, Anne-Marie, perhaps a more poised Hansen, being that the judge admonished her a little bit. She was giving details as to what she remembered during that time, especially in the fact that she called 911 saying that what she felt as though she was witnessing was someone who could potentially have been killed. We will also potentially hear more from medical experts that the prosecution has called on. They say that it was actually Chauvin's restraint that led to George Floyd's death. Of course, the defense has maintained this entire time that drugs and underlying health conditions were contributing factors in Floyd's death. And so we will see what they have to say in terms of why they felt as though it was that restraint, that knee on his neck, that led to Floyd's death.
You mentioned in your story the testimony from Darnella Frazier and her 9-year-old cousin. It was emotional. We're talking about 2 minors here. Why did attorneys feel that it was important to put them on the stand? Because it could not have been easy for them.
Absolutely, and what was remarkable to me, Anne-Marie, is just the fact that many of the witnesses who were there, whether it was Donald Williams or Genevieve Hansen or those minors who were there, many of them got emotional, just recounting what they remembered from that day in May back last year in 2020. And that is something that the prosecution wanted. They wanted the jury to feel that, to feel the emotion of that day from those who were there, the bystanders. Now, what's interesting is that from Darnella Frazier. That line about her feeling guilty for not stepping in to save George Floyd's life, we wouldn't have heard it if there wasn't a cross examination or questioning from the defense in that case. But because Eric Nelson asked a question, the prosecution had the opportunity to re-examine and ask another question, and that's what ultimately led to that compelling remark towards the end there. It's probably also why we didn't hear anything else in terms of Eric Nelson asking any more questions to any of the other minors who were there, who witnessed what happened to George Floyd.
And we should point out to the audience that Darnella is actually now 18. She was a minor when this happened. That's part of the reason why, you know, we're saying her name, because she's older now. Skyler, thank you so much.
You got it.